Hey, LinkedIn community. Today, I want to welcome Jeremy Nelson from Roll Recovery. Welcome, Jeremy.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so tell me about what Roll Recovery is and tell me about your business or tell me
Yeah,
just give me
definitely.
some highlights of who you are.
Yeah, so my name's Jeremy, founder of Roll Recovery. We do sport recovery products. We started in 2012, so we're going on 11, 12 years now. So, yeah, it's a fast growing market, and we were kind of one of the front runners in that space. So it's been really exciting.
So one of the interesting things, I got to meet Jeremy basically in 2012. So I know you guys you were perfecting this. The first, the R8 was the first product you guys came out with. And I was lucky to be part of the very beginning to see the first iterations of the R8. And before it went into full production in 2012, when I went out and visited in Boulder and ran into you. So the other interesting thing is I got to meet you, I think a year before that, had no idea at a race that you and your wife, Adriana, had gone to, which was Steamboat Classic in Peoria. So there were connections and all of a sudden we ran into each other in Boulder. So tell me about the inspiration of why you decided this first product and I assume you were the one that basically created this. So you're the mad scientist behind the creation of the R8.
Basically, yeah. So I would say just going back, I think I always had this burning desire to be an entrepreneur, and I'm sure you've come across that just in your experience. There seems to be some people that are just born with this. It's almost a curse, I would say, because it just keeps sort of whispering at you. And I actually started my career as an engineer, studied mechanical engineering, and I just always knew I wanted to do something new and something for myself. And I remember telling my college counselor at the time, she asked me what I wanted to do in a career, and I said I want to be an inventor. And she kind of laughed at me, and I was kind of shocked, like, okay. She's like, quit dreaming. You have to think about nuts and bolts and reality. And I remember thinking, like, I kind of have this chip on my shoulder. Like, I always wanted to develop new things, and that's really not something to tell. If you want innovation, you shouldn't be telling that to people. You really have to foster that. But I kind of use that as energy. And so I studied engineering, and then I did a graduate program at Stanford for product development. And I didn't really think I would fall into the sports kind of recovery space. That actually happened, I would say, accidentally. So my wife, as you know, Adriana Nelson, is a professional marathon runner, and I was running with her at the time. I wasn't so fortunate to get professional massages and treatment because, at the highest end levels, she's getting, really pampered every week. And I wasn't so fortunate. And so I was stuck to, the basic tools that were out there. Like I don't remember the stick and just basic foam rollers. And I kept thinking, like, nobody's come up with anything better than this. And that's when I started searching around and realizing that there's really nothing out there. And my idea was I wanted to have something that I could use it sitting on the couch. I can be lazy and that actually works. And something that really squeezes in is basically like getting a massage, or as close as you can get to a massage, but just kind of sitting around and not have to be on a foam roller. So that's kind of what the idea was. And after not really seeing anything out there, uh, I did what any engineer does. I went out in the garage and started tinkering, came up with a few prototypes. And I think it was like the eighth prototype that came out. And I tried it and I'm like, holy cow, this actually really works. And I showed my neighbor who is a really good cyclist, and he tried it and he's like, can you make me one of these? And that was sort of the seed. And I was like, all right. And the more people we showed it to, the more it was like, hey, can you make me one of these? And that's when I kind of started like, we could probably make this and sell it. I think the challenge was, building a company, building a brand out of one singular idea. And that's a huge challenge. And I felt like, well, if anybody's going to do it, like, I thought I kind of had the tools to do it. I was like, all right, like I should just try and make this and see what happens. And, I learned a lot. So fast forward to getting going, my wife and I would basically had to sell everything we owned. We sold our house that we had just built. I sold our two cars. We maxed out every credit card. You can get all those credit card offers in the mail. I was the guy that was opening all of those up and doing a full cash advance, which don't do that. Like that's not good advice. It's like horrible interest rate. And even when I call up and get the cash advance, the rep would be like, are you sure? This is like really high interest. I'm like, yes, I need cash.
Mhm.
That's just what it takes. And I think you'll find that commonality. I think every entrepreneur has a really unique story. I mean, everyone you talk to, everyone you meet that is an entrepreneur will have a completely unique story. But there is some common things that I think you'll find in all of them, and that's just pure tenacity. They just find a way to get it done. I mean, nobody lays it out for you. You have to just chew on it. I mean, I have written on my wall, be like a dog on a bone. And it's as simple as that. Like you just keep chewing on it. Nobody has the answers for you. And that's basically the philosophy we had going into it. So after selling everything we own, being completely broke, in my mind, I was like, it's funny because looking back, I'm like, that sounds terrifying. Like,
Yeah.
that sounds terrible. But at the time, I was so confident. I was like, well, all we have to do is just sell, X amount per day, and we could eat. That was like my thought. And I think I met you shortly after we had one of the beta
Mhm.
samples we had for testing. So we're in Boulder, Colorado. It's like the mecca for endurance sports. I was like, all right, we're in the right place for it. Um, and so yeah, we made a first production run. I think it was 2,000 units.
Mhm.
And I remember thinking like, all right, like it might take a year, 2 years, 3 years to sell these, but we just have to sell them. We ended up selling them in about 3 months. Uh, Doubled the production the next time and sold that one in about 4 months. That's when I started rolling. And then the first year, so we launched October 2012, and then early in 2013, just through running contacts and relationships, we got in touch with editor for Men's Journal magazine, and ended up putting the R8, which is the product, on the cover as Gear of the Year for 2013. And that's kind of what kickstarted the company and the brand.
So how did you, when you looked at that, so you started basically in your garage. I remember going over there and seeing the garage and like, okay, he's tinkering, he's doing something. I saw the first prototype and I was like, I hope you still have that first one, by the way.
Yeah, I have a box of parts, so
I
I
bet.
kept all that.
So it's just, I look at it as, I mean, I guess it's kind of, you basically went beyond and saying, okay, I'm going to put everything on the table and I'm going to we're going to see if this works. I believe in what I did. And the great thing, I guess, too, was that you're in an area, Boulder, Colorado, which is a very, like you said, the sports mecca. There's, all types of athletes there that are needing this type of service. Like you said, not everyone has the ability to go to have the specialized massage therapists and all these different things that allow them to do these things. Some do and some don't. But basically, you found a product and saying this can go out to all, the cyclists, runners, all the different areas. And because I think I saw that you pretty much all different types of sports, or not sports itself, this therapy, people have used it for things for their muscles, for their legs, for their arms, and so forth. And it's just like, it's interesting how it evolved and how it now has moved to several iterations. So my understanding is the R8 has definitely taken different forms. And it's just interesting how all the other products that you have come up with. And I'm curious with that, all the different products you've come up with over the years. And I think behind you, I assume those are all your patents for all your products.
It is, yeah. So I wish I could get in touch with my college counselor and show her, but
That's what I
uh,
was gonna say. You need to call your college counselor. Say, look behind me. So these are all the things I've designed, and these are all the things I
yeah.
have patents for. So your vision of what you want to do was not crazy. It's been paying off over the years.
I mean, I guess I'm doing what I was designed to do, and I do think it takes a certain type of person to kind of be nutty enough to go do it. But to answer your question, as far as where it's gone, so yeah, when we started, I kept thinking like, all right, we've got this old Volkswagen van, we're going to all these races anyway, and I'm still running my wife's office professional, so I'm like, all right, I'll just follow her around the world, go to these expos, these trade shows, and just sell it. Sell it out of the van, fly to Germany, wherever, and just sell it. And my thought was, all right, we're going to target runners. And I had my mind like pretty serious, more serious athletes and cyclists. It's amazing. So where it's gone, I mean, right now we have our products are used by NASA. We had LeBron James using our product in the NBA finals. It's just gone places, pretty much purely organically. I mean, this is not something that like we paid to do. We don't, we get a random phone call from he's like the chief scientist at NASA looking for our products to test on astronauts. And that's just completely random occurrence that uh, it's truly remarkable to see kind of where it goes. And I think right now the plan is open things up and get it more mainstream and get the common person to understand, like, you can feel better. Like, you don't have to walk around like with nagging pains and injuries. Like, you can treat. You don't have to be a professional athlete to take care of your body. And so yeah, that's really the direction. And the products have evolved. I mean, we are on the third iteration of the R8. We have R8 Plus, which is adjustable, and then a slew of other products, basically to tackle the whole recovery space and your whole body.
So how does that, as you look at that, as like how you started and where you the first vision of like, okay, these will be professional athletes or semi-professional athletes, and now we're looking at it as more of the mainstream. How do you look at that as your company, as the visionary, the inventor? Do you have those people in like a CEO and other people that basically saying, okay, here we're going to take this vision to the masses to where we're going to see where this goes? Is that something that you've been working on for a while? And how do you guys are attempting to get to that place?
Yeah, I mean, so no doubt you need help. You need help to spread your idea. You need help to build it. You need help to sell it. There's no doubt that the team you build can be just as important as the product. So that's basically what we focus on is finding the best people we can find, um, arm them with the tools that they need to do to get their job done, and hopefully find a diverse set. So like we're not just all in the same category. We can find people with opposing opinions, and I think that's been really helpful for me is finding those people that can challenge you. Those people that can question things, and if you can't clearly explain what you want to do or why you want to do it, it's probably not worth it. Like it should never just be like, well, because I said so, because that's what we want to do. It should be like, well, here's why. And if you can't convince your team, it's not going to work in the real world, because the real world is harsh. They don't
Yeah.
care about you.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be so strong mentally to keep pushing and find those people that keep pushing, because we're humans. You have these emotions that go up and down. So it's not always fine and dandy. There's times where it's like, all right, you have to really push hard right now, and that's very difficult. So finding the best team, the very most important person you can find is that COO or that VP of operations. That person that implements things, that keeps things going, because it can be really tough and challenging when you have this idea, you go out, you make it, you're sort of that visionary person. Well, then how do you do the day-to-day stuff? And I think in the very beginning, you're everything. You're the HR person, you're the COO, you're the CFO, you're your customer service department. And then as you grow, you want to find people that are better than you are at that job. And for me, it's not hard to find better people like at accounting and operations, because I think that's it should be a compliment to who you are. And there are a lot of CEOs out there. I think about someone like Tim Cook with Apple. I see him as like a really good operator. He was a good operator with Steve Jobs. And then there's other people, like those Steve Jobs and like those Elon Musk out there that need operational people. They need people to really get it done. You can't just sit there and have visions all day. You need people to actually do work, figure stuff out, fill out the paperwork, get boxes moved, that kind of stuff. So yeah, it is extremely important to not just, have that idea, but have the team around you to help push it.
So how is as you have that team, as that team has grown over time, because like I said, it was just you and Adriana at the very beginning of this whole thing, and then now the team has grown over time. How has that helped with distribution and things like that? So I assume most of it, you basically you're assembling or distributing out of your location out of Colorado. And how is that? Is that by having that team, they're able to take care of that? So you're not there trying to like, okay, where does this go today? And you're not fulfilling orders
Right.
yourself personally. So you
Right. Yeah.
have the team.
Yeah. I mean, I think it comes down to trust. You find that team that you trust, you train them, and yeah, certainly. I mean, to scale at any level, you have to have a team. Like I could think of like there's some outlier case where maybe some singular person like scaled the company, but I think, in general, you have to find that team of great people to help you along the way. And we're definitely fortunate. We've had very little turnover. We're in Boulder, Colorado. It's a great place to live and work. And I think it's if you can win your team over and get them excited and motivated, it's really a joy to come to work. And uh, I knew we had something special when people on their off days would still come to hang out with us. I mean,
Yeah.
come hang out. Like, it's like, all right, they really like being here. And I think if like me as a CEO, I take a great interest in everyone's lives. And I think it's hard to do as you get huge. I mean, we're still small enough where I can still do that, where I care about people in their personal lives. And, in turn, that means they're going to be better, employees if their whole life is, it's not in full chaos. If I
Yeah.
can help in any way outside of their lives, like, they know that I really care about them. And I think I've seen the exchange of that is that they really care about the company and the success of the company.
So having that vested interest in your actual employees, the people that work for you, definitely makes a difference. And you can see that in lots of companies where it's like where when the CEO or the founder is really invested, the team, the organization works well. And the ones that are not, it just seems very dysfunctional and just kind of has its struggles. And so with all that, let's talk, because we always continue for the next so many years talking about COVID, and we talk about supply chain. How did that, one, for your employees, how did that affect them? And also the supply chain of, let's say, the materials you needed to build the R8 and have these other things distributed. Did you guys kind of like, hey, we're in this together. We're gonna get through this. And then how did you deal with any issues with your supply of materials?
Yeah, I mean, I think like almost probably every American business, it is a huge challenge. We were fortunate that through that period, our sales dipped 40% right at the top, and a lot of that's because the business is sort of split from direct to consumer, and then we're selling specialty retail. When that shut down, and when it was at most curbside pickup, it's difficult for an accessory brand to be looked at, to be felt and experienced when people are doing curbside pickup. So it was challenging. We kept the team together. I think my role at that time was like, don't panic, just sort of be I don't know, a sounding board for other ideas too, like just to keep things together. And I knew, we'd get through it. And I had a feeling it wouldn't be 2 weeks. I had a feeling it's going to be a long road. We
Mhm.
saw what was happening in Asia. So supply chains were totally wrecked. I would say the biggest challenge for us was shipping. So you know, everyone's heard about the port was backed up.
Mhm.
We had products sitting on boats for months and months and months. It was tough to get stuff in. So yeah, I mean, during that's one of those instances of bearing down and staying tough, staying true to your core values. I remember, it's just funny. Just before that, I was reading a book from Warren Buffett where he talked about in any given business, big or small, you're going to have in any 10-year period, there's going to be one of those years that's going to absolutely suck.
Mhm.
And I kept thinking that it's always in my mind, like, when is that? Because I feel like we've had this amazing decade where it's just
Yeah.
like peachy keen. It's just like very great. We had that year, in
Yeah.
fact, years, and luckily we've recovered from that. We came back stronger. It was actually we took it as an opportunity to look under the hood, clean up the house, just cut things that were loose and just tidy things up and build a foundation. I think through that, I kind of got more motivated actually to do more product development. So we're
Mhm.
launching some really exciting products this year that really derived from COVID era.
Yeah.
And I think those companies that were over leveraged, I think those companies that had borrowed a lot and they're over leveraged and they're barely hanging on anyway, those are the ones that failed. The ones that were, profit driven and stable, those ones survived. And I think in some ways, sometimes it's a good thing to happen.
So with that so the great thing is, which I always look at is, I always what we went through was horrible, and there's always been the financial crisis or some other crisis we've had in, like you said, 10 years. It seems like there is every 10 years, there's something that happens in our economy or something that is, and this one was pretty big, of course, is always looking as there will be companies that will fail and disappear, and there'll be companies that will adjust and rise and be stronger, better, all those things that will really show what they can do, or new things will be created out of this. So it's interesting you're saying from what had happened, you now have some new ideas of things that you want that have come out of this horrible thing. pandemic to like, hey, I have some new ideas that I want to create, I want to do, and then also to clean up house, like get everything more shored up, get a stronger foundation. So then, who knows what if in 10 years that next thing is going to be, how you're going to adjust for that. Have you put what are the is there anything major you can talk about that you put in place that since then is like, hey, this has really helped us from financial to distributions to just how you sell your product, that type of thing.
I would say, when we look at our core, it came down to the customer experience. I mean, that's all of it. So our number one goal is to delight our customers. And you can do that through the toughest times. When you look at the Great Depression, you look at some of these tough times the past 100 years, those companies that continue to delight their customers survive. And that's kind of what we came down to. It's like, all right, how can we, have a great relationship with all of our retailers, an excellent relationship with the customers that are currently buying our products. And that's basically what we did. We just thought, okay, like, let's be the best version of ourselves. I know it sounds cliche sometimes, but it's true. It's kind of like when you have, you're a runner as well. When you have those bad races, sometimes you learn a lot more from those bad races than you do than those good races. So that's kind of what we did. We said, let's just do better at the customer experience. And that really carried through. So we've seen some turmoil. Like as things started to pick up, we saw some of those other companies that I would say maybe had a lot of momentum or they're kind of exciting, they kind of fizzled out when they sort of give up or they sort of start ignoring your customer base. So we have a commitment to never do that, no matter how big we get. I mean, we're, slowly growing every year, but no matter how big we get, we never want to lose that and just think, oh, we're too big for that. We're never too big for that. Like we rely on every single one of our customers and we appreciate every single one of them. And I think they feel that, like hopefully they feel like just from opening the packaging to the product itself, we truly care. I mean, as far as like trying to keep prices down as low as we can, like I think when consumers feel companies being greedy, or if there's any sense that there's a greed there, like they will turn their backs quicker than And so if they feel like, all right, they're committed to the people, like, they're building for us, they'll stay loyal to you. And that's really been our philosophy.
Well, one of the things you brought up there is your commitment, and your customer experience. One of the things I've always noticed from day one to meeting you to buying your products over the years and seeing it is like you've always been. It's been important to you. I remember you telling me this is that you want the packaging when someone receives this, if they get it in the mail or they pick it up at the store or wherever they're getting it at, it's like it's this amazing package, this box. I remember getting that, and it's just like, wow, it's just the outside of the box looks amazing. You open it up and it looks nice. And it's like there's a nice little card in there saying, this is so and so who put this together, or someone from your team, a little note. And it's like all those special touches, which is I think sometimes companies forget that no matter how young or old the company is or how small or big they are, that's important to the customer, is to have those special touches to feel like, okay, you just didn't send this to me in a, big old brown box and that was it. You didn't care. So it's shown the care over the years that you've, even from day one, so 2012 to now to 2024, it's just like, I feel like it's even improved every time. It's like, it was great when you first started it and it's even better now. And it's like, you didn't give that up no matter how big you've gotten, no matter all the accolades you've gotten from Men's Health to Wall Street Journal to some other runners world. You've gotten, people have said, hey, this is the best product for this year. This is the product you should look out for. And I think that's what's so neat, is that you still stay true to who you are as a company. So what would you suggest that for people as they're looking for their own branding? It's like, how do you stay in that lane to do that, to make sure your product is great?
I think it's always improving. I mean, I think we still have a long way to go. Like it is, it's funny, like we never really pat ourselves on the back and say, oh, good job. I think we're always looking to improve. And I tell this to people, even if they have a service business, so it's, product or service, whatever it may be, find those little areas that people just didn't expect, or those little ways that you can just work a little harder to get to get the job done and just really delight them. So, my advice is like, continue to improve, like never just sit on your laurels and say, yeah, we did it. Like that's it, it's done. Always improve. One example of that, like when I look at Tesla, for example, uh, when you look at the legacy automotive manufacturers, they tend to design a car and then that's it. And they might do like very small fixes over the production cycle of say 6 to 8 years. Tesla is always improving. Even like, I mean, how old now is the Model S? It's like 12 years old or more. It's a completely different vehicle from when it launched, and they're always improving. I take that. I mean, even though these are huge companies, and same with Apple, um, I take that and just kind of scale it down to our size. Say, all right, how can we always improve it to sort of, I don't know, catch people and surprise them. And I think now there's more brands that have caught on to that. Like I'm seeing more brands, and especially in that direct consumer space, that I've sort of caught on to that. But what I see too is they tend to lose that as soon as they start growing. I see a drop off in that, and they stop caring. And then, like I said, that's one of our goals is no matter how big we get, never stop caring. And in our slogan, it's thoughtfully designed products, and that even from sourcing, even from our suppliers, if you treat people well, even the people, whether it's if you do manufacturing overseas, domestic, wherever, if you treat them well, and from the whole, from cradle to grave, from sourcing the materials, making the product, filling it, and then end of life cycle. If you think about all those steps and how can you improve each one of those, you'll have a successful company. I mean, it's not that hard to do it. You just have to look at every single aspect of it.
I think that's interesting is that you have to, but that has to be something internally for you to, that's what you want to project and, tell people this is who I am. This is truly who I am. And make sure that is a company wide, feeling. And I think that's the thing is you get bigger, and as you've slowly gotten bigger over time, it's like still keeping that. Here's what we're doing. Here's how we're going to take care of the customer. These things are important. And I think as companies get older or grow more, they lose sight of that. And I'm glad that you are still staying focused on that and saying, this is important to me, because if I didn't have that, I mean, one is for you personally, it's like, this is important. It's not just to sell stuff. This is because who you are is like, you will lose people, and the product, people will not be interested in the product. And I think that's something always, I think for people to really hear this is like, hey, you need to treat people well, and if you want, to do anything. So
Yeah.
it's exciting to hear that. What any advice as we close up this interview is like, you have any advice for groups that are growing, they're basically scaling up to a certain level? Any advice for somebody that was saying, hey, how do we do this? What should be the most important thing they should do?
I would say this: if you're a product company, continue to focus on that product. I mean, I think we can get so distracted with so many new marketing strategies. I mean, you see my email inbox; it's just exploded with so many opportunities out there for different things. And I would say, if you're a product or service, focus all your energy on that. Build a better product instead of spending so much money on ads. Or it's so easy to waste a lot of money and get distracted with that. Stay focused. And I always say, like, those little horse blinders they put on horses to keep them focused, like, put those on. Stay focused. Look at that. Look at your product or service and say, how can we make it better for people? And just keep doing that. And it'll spread. I mean, it's not going to be maybe as fast as we dump, $10 million some ad campaign. Yeah, you're going to get a quick little bump. That's not long term. That's not sustainable. What's sustainable is that, if you get those people and they love your brand, they love your product, they'll tell their friends about it. And yeah, it might take 18 months or 12 months, whatever it may be, but they will continue to be your brand advocates for you. So, it comes down to just keep improving your product.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your time. This was great, to catch up and learn more about this, and hopefully the LinkedIn community out there will look at it and say, hey, this has really inspired me. You're definitely an inspiration to business owners, for people that want to start something. And thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Mike. Appreciate it.
Yeah.